America. This is Michigan. Now somebody asked me, we just got back from Washington, D.C., Reverend Jackson, and I met with the Department of Justice, with the Civil Rights Department in D.C. on yesterday, and someone raised a question. They said, well, Reverend Bullock, why are you all so mad with this legislation? What's wrong with this emergency manager legislation? What's wrong with Public Act number 4? I mean, we don't really quite understand why you're going to be at the Blossom Time Parade in Benton Harbor on Saturday, letting the governor know that you do not appreciate the direction that the state is going in. What's really wrong? And I said, you know what's wrong? What's wrong is that Martin Luther King died. Medgar Evers died. Rosa Parks sat down and went to jail so that we all could have the right to vote. We've got the 14th Amendment. We've got the 1965 Voting Rights Act. So that red and yellow, black and white, we all precious in God's sight, could elect the people that we wanted to govern. And if they don't govern the way we think they should govern, then we unelect them. We vote them out. We recall them. But we don't need anybody putting a czar over our school districts and over our cities, nullifying contracts, trying to bust unions, and making our voices null and void. That's not what democracy looks like. So we're here today organizing. We're gonna let the governor know today he's gonna have to do something different. We want the House and we want the Senate to know they're gonna have to do something different. State Supreme Court, Federal Attorney General, we want to let them know they have to do something different. I'm going to close with this as I bring one of our allies, Mayor Pro Tem Mohammed Benton Harbor. Before he comes, I want to say this because some say, well, you know, Governor Snyder is a nice guy. They say, you know, those emergency managers, those are our friends. We grew up with those guys. We know those guys. We went to lunch with those guys. We had coffee. We had coffee with them. We played golf with those men and women. You know, they went to school for that. You know, they're not that bad. And you know, it remind me of certain folk who were alive during slavery. So, you know, I was in the master's house. The master's not that bad. You know, the master let me stay in his house. Master let me get some cold water from his icebox. Master's not that bad. And I want to remind you that if you're against slavery, you have to be against the master. If you're against slavery, you have to be against the overseer. If you are against this legislation, then you have to be against the machinery that implements the legislation. You cannot be friends with the overseer and the master and anti-slavery at the same time. And so we fight for democracy and draw a line in the sand. Either you are for democracy or you are not. And if you are not for democracy, then we must kindly ask you to move out of the way. No justice. No justice. No justice. Brother Muhammad.
I'm going to speak very briefly. Our mayor is here. But I was just reflecting on history, where it was a man in 1771 by the name of Crispus Attucks that died, first person that died for democracy on these shores. And they called it the Boston Tea Party. Anybody know anything about that? But the whole issue that was at hand at that time was taxation without representation. And here we are in 2011 and we're fighting the same fight. Now, I just want to say one thing about legislation. Want somebody to say legislation? In the word legislation is the word legs. And legs uphold the body. And when the legs get weak, or when the legs are broken, then the body collapses. But you are the body. Good legislators uphold society. They uphold cities. They uphold states. They uphold countries. But when you get bad, corrupt, puppet politicians in office, then that's like having broken legs and the society collapse because it's democracy they're upholding. I know you probably didn't come to hear that. But I wish somebody was listening. So we need good legislation. And Public Act number 4 is like a termite to democracy. Because it's eating away at the core democratic values that make this nation and this state great. So I'm going to leave you with a story. Franklin Delano Roosevelt entertained Asa Philip Randolph, who was a giant for workers' rights. And he was explaining to him the great abuses that was taking place. And FDR said, Philip, I agree with everything that you have said, but go out and make me do it. But the underline is when you're dealing with power and you're dealing with politicians, you can't just ask them to do it. That's right. You have to mobilize, organize, and come together and make them do the right thing. So thank you for coming today, and let's make them do what's right.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the citizens of Benton Harbor and the Benton Harbor City Council, I welcome you to Benton Harbor. You know, I listened to the Mayor Pro Tem speak, and I listened to Reverend Pickney speak. You know, it says what? Give me liberty or give me death. The Boston Tea Party was about what? Taxation without representation. And if we let them get away with this, and we let them keep Public Act 4 in motion, that's exactly what it does to you and I. This is about make 3 things. Funding for our youth, the leaders of tomorrow. They want to cut, they're cutting more and more. I read the paper last night, they're cutting funding for education more and more and more. You know, they're putting it into charter schools and home learning. The public schools is for yours and my children. We need public schools. It's about pensions for seniors and people who retire. You've already paid taxes on that, but they want to tax it again. Why don't they tax the corporations?
That's right.
They want to do certain things with the unions. Now, you know, I look at the unions and I say, well, God bless the unions. You and I both know that before the unions came into being, they were children. They chained them to machinery. Young children worked them day in and day out, sun up to sun down. They didn't make very much money. Some of them were injured. Corporation didn't care. The bottom line is profits and loss statement. This is all they're concerned about. They've taken businesses out of this country, shipped them overseas, and then they want to blame the American public for that. It's greed. Cheap labor, they have cheap labor overseas, they have free land, and it's all profit. Profit, profit, profit. Now they want to profitize city government, the state's right. There is no such thing as states' rights to that extent. We're guaranteed the right to vote, self-determination. This is what this movement is all about. This is what we have to fight for. We have to be persistent. We cannot turn back, and we will take no prisoners. We must go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court if we have to You know, we may have to hit the streets in every city in this state. But let me tell you one thing. As mayor, I've been getting calls from every state in the union. This is a test case for the whole country. If they say if they can get away with that in Michigan, what's to prevent them from doing the same thing in Florida and Texas and California? So we're the front line. I always say now, like Jesse Jackson, we're the epicenter. We are the new Selma of the 21st century civil rights movement. And it is a movement, ladies and gentlemen. And again, thank you and I welcome you.
I'm State Representative Fred Durham Jr. and I'm chair of the Legislative Black Caucus in Michigan.
Okay, thanks.
We are working together. This is not my first time here, nor will it be my last. I'm the unofficial new resident of Benton Harbor.
All right.
But I come to you from the city of Detroit. And I want you to understand something very clearly. And in old Jesse Jackson style, I want you to repeat after me. If it happens in Benton Harbor, it can happen in Detroit. And Flint. And Saginaw. And Grand Rapids. And Battle Creek. And Kalamazoo. Throughout this state. We are victimized by an unconstitutional law. And so it is natural, ladies and gentlemen, for us to join together to fight. We're fighting not just for labor. We're fighting not just for the city and the council member and his mayor. We are fighting for the people of the United States. This is a national fight. It is one that is rooted as deeply inside of our hearts and our minds as the civil rights movement of the 1960s. It is wrong. It is absolutely wrong to have people come and elect their public officials and then have an appointed person come in and declare them null and void. I listened with horror the other night when I heard the emergency financial manager come and tell the city commission and the mayor the old Al Haig comment, I'm in charge. You're out and I'm in charge. There's something wrong with that picture in the 21st century in America. And I will tell you this, we will not stand for it. We're going to move to try to repeal this law. And not being successful at that, we're going to fight it in the court system in this country, all the way to the United States Supreme Court. We simply cannot allow our people to become put under fascist rule. And that's what this is. I am proud of the fact that you are here. For many of you, it took a long drive to get here. But you're going to go home happy. You're going to go home happy because you know you are warriors in the fight for freedom. This is a new civil rights movement. Going away from government that is trying to take advantage of you. We are on your side. You are with me. I am with you. And together, we're going to win this battle, aren't we? Are we going to win? Can we win? Let's fight. Thank you.
I am glad to be here. What democracy looks like. My name is Gerald Kareem. I'm here on behalf of the UAW Region 1D. We are here to support you in Benton Harbor. As the brother said, it could be our city next, but it is our city now. This is about freedom. This is about equality. And this is about representation. We have to have representation. It's part of the democracy in this country. At this time, we all should be saying, ouch. We all should be saying, ouch. We all should be feeling some pain. We all should be having common pain. So I'm glad that we're here today so that we can help build coalition, so that we can work together. It's time for us to stop having lines of demarcation about this group or that group. We all must drop those lines of demarcation and come together and fight. I believe that by us all being here today, that there's a whirlwind coming. There is a wind coming that we will fight. We must fight in order to win, and we will win. We must stand up and fight. This is wrong, and we know it's wrong. Governor Snyder has created a couple jobs in Michigan, and they're not talking about jobs. They've created some emergency financial managers. They're not talking about jobs. Let's be very clear, brothers and sisters, that there is not a revenue problem. There is a revenue problem. We don't have tax problems. They're changing the conversation. They're making a lot of noise trying to fool people. It's the old game again. It's the old right-wing playbook where they put in a lot of deception out there. So let's make it clear that we are the people. We are the people. Remember that we are the people. So we will fight. I'm going to turn you over to Bob King, president of UAW.
Thank you. We're all here, not for ourselves, but for our kids and our grandkids. My daughter Bernadette is here today because it is about our kids, right? And we are so blessed to be in America, because America, for hundreds of years, has been a rule of the people, right? And what some people, some extremists are trying to make it today is the rule of money. Now, do we want rule of the people, or do we want rule of money? We want rule of the people. Of the people. So, let's be really clear. You've heard. All right, rule of the people. Let's be really clear. Budgets are moral documents. Those who say they believe in family values but cut out the earned income tax credit, tax pensions on people on fixed income, want to take first $360, now almost $500 per student away from K through 12 education. That's not right. That's an immoral action. Now, it's our job. We'll fight through the Supreme Court. We have a group. The UAW is in coalition. Our legal department with about 30 or 40 great attorneys in the state of Michigan looking for constitutional grounds to fight this on. I talked to Jocelyn Benson yesterday, who has been a long-time voting rights activist, attorney. She and many others are fighting. But let me be clear. We may win it through the courts, but that's not the battle. Everybody standing here is responsible for what is happening today, because we have not been demanding a movement in America. As soon as the social justice movement dies, politicians are pressured by the right, by the corporate, by the wealthy. And if we're not marching and rallying and demanding justice every day of our lives, then we're not living up to our responsibility for our kids and our grandkids. There should be 10,000 people out here today for what's at stake. So when you go home today, and when I go home today, we're going to raise hell with our friends, our families, our neighbors, and say, if you believe in democracy, if you believe in the rule of the people, then you have to march, you have to vote, but that's not enough. You have to march, you have to rally, you have to fight for your whole life for social justice. Thank you for being here. Let's stay in the fight for social justice. Thank you.
Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. I'm Commissioner Dennis Knowles of the 4th Ward in the city of Benton Harbor. What I want to say is that democracy, and I got agreed through corporate finagling, is being stricken. Right now we have recalls and wording that's to be approved on Al Pashoka come Monday. I did not. Now I'm going to show you how corporations work. Then I'm going to read a resolution that we passed as a body on Monday that caused backlash from the dictator, Joseph L. Harris, from the state of Michigan. First of all, I'll say this, that the attorneys for Al Pachoka sent me a FedEx letter, sent Judge Alfred Butzbaugh, Louise Stein of the county clerk, who's the voter over voter election, and another judge who will be reading the clarity of the wording that was posed on Al Pachoka's recall. It was a conflict of interest. It's called manipulation. I got my letter yesterday along with these same judges, and you know and I know that the wording was put out in the newspaper the day after the wording was presented. Never has happened in the history of Benton Harbor that wording would be put out from the clarity hearing or elections office about a recall until either it failed or passed. I'm just letting you know and be cognizant that corporate dollars have fed these criminals' pockets to do you and me in democracy. Now I'm going to read this resolution that we spoke on in brief on Monday, and we passed, and now being told that we had no authority to pass a resolution. This is not a financial variance. Harris came in here to balance the budget, so he said. And immediately went to bed with the corporation. We saw. Whereas the city of Benton Harbor declares the appointment of an emergency manager a violation of Article 1, Section 1 of the Michigan State Constitution, which states that all political power is inherent in the people and that government is instituted for their equal benefit, security, and protection. Whereas the city of Benton Harbor declares the appointment of an emergency manager a violation of Article 1, Section 3, which allows the citizens of Benton Harbor the right to petition the government for redress of grievances. Whereas the city of Benton Harbor declares the appointment of an emergency manager a violation of Article 7, Section 22, which affords Benton Harbor citizens the power and authority to frame, adopt, and amend its charter, and to amend an existing charter of the city or village heretofore granted or enacted by the legislature for the government of the city or village. Each such city and village shall have power to adopt resolutions and ordinances relating to its municipal concerns, property, and government, subject to the Constitution and law. Whereas the city of Benton Harbor declares the appointment of an emergency manager a violation of Article 7, Section 34, which states that the provisions of this Constitution and law concerning counties, townships, cities, and villages shall be liberally construed in their favor. Whereas the city of Benton Harbor declares the appointment of an emergency manager a violation of Article 9, Section 2, which provides the citizens of Benton Harbor the right of taxation with representation. Therefore, be it resolved, the appointment of an emergency manager is in direct violation of the Michigan Constitution and therefore demands the removal of said emergency manager immediately. Now, when we passed this in the Herald Palladium the very next day, and I hope you're here, it was so stated because they take what the Palladiums are, they'll take what the sellouts give them. Now, I'm speaking of Joe Harris or any other crony to a corporation and to Dick Snyder or Rick Snyder, whatever his name is, that he has the power now to lock us out of City Hall. He has the power now to take away our emails. So is that not diminishment of democracy? Is that not diminishment of your government? Is that not diminishment of your rights? But then I'll say all power to the people. Take the stand, don't die, take the stand. Some will die because we don't really acknowledge the power that we have. But today, I'm willing, give me liberty or give me death. Power to the people.
No, that's fine. Good morning. I'm going to try to use my teacher voice, but I don't want to blast you out. My name's Emily Hecht. I'm a Benton Harbor teacher at the high school. And I'm a proud member of Michigan Education Association. So thank you all for coming out. Our battle cry has been enough is enough, and enough is enough. Yesterday, Mayor Cook told us about what he read in the paper. There will be at least $200 cut per student if this budget passes. It passed in the House yesterday, so we do need to get this movement blossoming. This is an appropriate place to have this demonstration today because it's the Blossom Time Parade, and our demonstrations and our movement does need to blossom. I'm wearing Wisconsin. I went to school in Wisconsin. I was proud of what was going on up there. They got out in the cold and the sleet and the snow. They stayed out for days. Teachers across Wisconsin took 4 days off of school to be there. And they risked a lot and they sacrificed a lot. However, here in Michigan, we don't have that same privilege because there is a bill that says if we do take a day of action off, we could lose our teaching certificates. They will be pulled. So Michigan has a lot worse going on over here. Al Pachoke yesterday said in the paper that he wasn't going to come today because he's angered. Well, he's angry. Yeah, I think we can be a little angry. It makes me a little angry, and teachers and support staff, parapros, janitors, everybody, to know that one day an EFM can come into our school district and we may be next. We're at risk. It makes me a little angry to know that they can come in and decide how we're going to teach our kids, how much we can make. They're going to raise there's bills that are trying to make our contributions to our medical coverage 25% higher. 20% higher. So the state wants to come in and tell every school district across Michigan what they think teachers should be contributing to their health care. And they also think that they can tell districts, the state thinks they can tell districts that you need to decrease your wages for all teachers, for all support staff, for janitors, for bus drivers. That's the one big thing they want to do. They want to tell every school district, make it a law that you have to privatize. It won't be a choice. Don't do that, LaFoy. It won't be a choice. School districts don't have the choice to decide. It will be a law that they do this or else what? So we're angry too. We want to educate our children. We want our children to be good workers. We want our children to be workers. We want them to be union members too. And I'm going to keep telling my students that. I'm going to keep telling my students that you need to vote, you need to be involved, because you can be part of this movement too. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and welcome to our community.
All right. Come on, let's give our hand for Sarah.
We are not indifferent. We are here because this law tramples on basic democracy, and no community in this state deserves to have that happen. We are here to support Benton Harbor. We are here to support Detroit. We are here to support every community. I have a group over here from Traverse City. We have formed a grassroots organization called Reject Emergency Managers. Petition language has been filed. Petition language has been filed for a referendum to repeal the emergency financial manager law. We only need 5% of signatures representing the last governor's election. It is so doable. And the moment we submit the correct number of signatures, it freezes the law. They can't act on it until we, the people, get to vote on it. That's how it needs to be. Because we are the people. I'm not a union member. I'm not a teacher. I'm a citizen. I care about what happens in my state. We will reject this law.
Hello, everybody. Reverend Edward Pinckney. Reverend Edward Pinckney. Reverend Edward Pinckney. Can we say enough is enough? Can we say enough is enough? Can we say enough is enough? It's time to take this thing to a whole different level. Tell me what democracy looks like. 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 Let me say this. I know everybody here If something should happen unusual, reach up and pull the mask down and put it on your face first. You understand what I'm trying to say here? Just in case something happens while you're in flight, you ought to reach up and put the mask on your face first. What we have done, we have put the mask on the wrong face. We have put the mask on Snyder, and we need to remove it. Tell me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Tell me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Tell me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Good morning. My name is Gary Pollard. I'm from Detroit. I'm happy to be in Benton Harbor again. I've never worked in a coal mine, but they tell me they keep a canary in a cage in a coal mine. And if the canary falls over, it's time to leave the coal mine.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Benton Harbor is the canary in the coal mine for democracy. The canary is being strangled. It's being suffocated. And it may be Benton Harbor today, but it could be your hometown tomorrow. It seems to me, if dictatorship is bad in overseas, it's bad here. If our boys can fight dictators overseas and fight for democracy overseas, we certainly can fight for it here. I understand that a tyrant was taken out by the U.S. military. I understand that a tyrant was taken out. But I want you to know that when democracy is threatened, it can be threatened right here on this land. It can be threatened by folk who were elected. Okay? The governor was elected in this state. Unfortunately. He didn't tell the entire story. Okay? The governor essentially lied, and the canary is about to die. You understand? Okay? We were tricked, we were bamboozled. We were hoodwinked. Some of us. Not all of us, and I understand. But the story is not my day, not Bob King's day. It's about our children. At a time when our children need more, the governor wants to give less. Now we have $500 million surplus in the school aid fund. The governor took the $500 million away from the school children, gave the corporations a tax break. On the back of our school children. I want you to know that our universities and colleges are also suffering. Our fantastic teachers, educators are suffering. Our public safety officials, fire and police are suffering because the corporations need more. CEOs are making more and workers are making less. It's time to stand up. It's time to stand up. Let's say it, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Thank you.
I just wanted you to know that in 1968 and 69, I went under the soils of Southeast Asia. I went there to supposedly fight for democracy in a foreign country. I spent 13 months, 10 days fighting for democracy for another land. I saw fellow soldiers blow up in front of me. I saw them lose limbs, legs, and life. I breathed in the mouth of a dead man for about 3 minutes. They had to drag me off of him because we were fighting for democracy in Southeast Asia. But I saw a sign in the back said, "Free Benton Harbor." I'll be darned, and I'm a preacher, I'm saying it nice, I'll be darned if I would fight in Southeast Asia for democracy and freedom for another country and come back to Benton Harbor, Michigan and lose my democracy. We want our democracy now! Democracy now! Democracy now! Democracy now! Democracy now! Let us close with prayer. Every head bowed, every eye closed. Lord, we come because of the freedom you have given us to call on your name. We come in because of the privilege you have been given us to be born in a country where we can pick and choose our religion, our choice in political office. We come because we live in a country that has a constitution that, oh God, declares that we have 14th Amendment rights, the right to due process and the right to representation. And God, as I pray right now for those travelers that have come in this fight, I pray that the grace of God and the sweet communion of the Holy Spirit will be with us henceforth and forevermore. In Jesus' name, amen.
Just sit back and take it. Don't show that anything. All right, we're getting ready to pull out. One more speaker, I'm sorry. Come on up here. You know, I can't forget you. That's right, we know we got to take care of it. Good morning, everyone. This is a fight for our lives. Being a community person, I'm Benton Harbor. This is the city that I love. We're going to fight until the last person drops. This is not a one-day fight. It's not a two-day fight. This is a lifetime fight. Because what happens here will go to another city, and another city, and another city. Don't be fooled by the crap. Don't get sleepy. Don't get tired on the job. This is our fight. We are here to win it because we're all in it. It's our time. Let's all stand together. No wavering. Let's go out into the community of Benton Harbor. Let the people know we are here to stay. So as we leave here, let's leave together. Let's take the message together. There is only one message. Michigan will be free, and we will be free of Rick Snyder too. Pastor Gully is here, and what we're going to do, now we get ready.